All right. Well, welcome to class 21. This is part 4 of the dynamic force analysis um, stuff from chapter 11. And I'm going to here's where we are in the semester. Getting near the end. We're going to do CAMs next, and then we're done, basically. I don't know what I meant by mechanism testing day, by the way, when I wrote that. I also had presentation day 1. So what I would like to do on this last week of classes coming up is to show off project 2 that you've made, which is just up to you. It's whatever you want to do. 3D print some type of mechanism that's interesting and shows off some type of motion. Let's see what we can do. It's sort of like a little competition even. Can you do something that wows everybody? All right, so here I haven't turned this into an animation yet, so I need to do that before class. I knew there was something I forgot. So anyway, we're doing, I'm first going to talk about Norton section 1110. You'll see that here in a second. That's using energy methods to find torsion. All right, that's just for one point. I haven't turned that into a full rotation. That's on my to-do list. Actually, I need to write that down on my to-do list. But mostly this class is about turning the stuff from the last class and the previous 2 classes into a full rotation code, so that you could get capture the motion in MATLAB, mostly to try to match it up to SolidWorks where we can possibly. You can jump ahead and see that there's a frowny face over here. You can see I wasn't quite able to do that on all of them. I'm missing one last one, and the most important one too. But anyway, I can do a pretty good matching up of things. So to create a tool that's useful for mimicking machines, and most importantly, to try to estimate the amount of torque that we need. Yeah, there's a comparison. So the bottom line, though, I think these do this little weird thing where this came up first there. It has a reasonable comparison between SolidWorks motion, motor torque, and the MATLAB codes for full rotation. I wasn't able to match the 6 bar, as I mentioned here. But okay, so we'll see here in a second that power can be used, or a power balance can be used, called torque analysis by energy method in Norton's book, to find torque. Right, and once again, I didn't turn this into a animation, so we just plop, everything came up at once. But here's the idea. This right here, if we have a moving part, and we know the force on it, and the force is moving too. The force times velocity is power. This really is relevant for the external forces that are placed on things. All the forces at the joints are equal and opposite, so they don't count. But all the ones at the grounds don't count because they don't have a velocity. So this is power, force times velocity. Another power is external torques, and they could be the torque that's driving the thing. So that's usually within this is where we want to try to find our torque input. But they can also be external things, loads, and those are going to be negative because they're taking power, our energy, rate of energy, out of the system. We also have mass times acceleration times velocity. This is interesting right here. You need to get all the accelerations at the center of gravity. So this is like a dynamic force times velocity. So it's really kind of the same thing as over here. That mass times acceleration is a dynamic force, and it's times the velocity also at the center of gravity. So that's another thing that we need to do in any of the codes is we need to find this. So you need to do the kinematics and get the acceleration and the velocities at the center of gravity for all the pieces. And then also we have this dynamic force right here, or dynamic torque, really dynamic moment. of I alpha, and then we multiply that by, in the same way we did over here, we multiply that by the rotational right there. So that right there, this is a power balance, and from that we should be able to get torque. So here it is down in the next lines we have for the example. So this is for the 4-bar. And if you remember from his examples, he's got external force P3. So this is the one that's on the coupler, that external force that's going along for the ride. And here's the external force going along for the ride that's on the rocker. And here's the most important guy, the one we want to get. Here's our goal, is to find the torque that's on the crank that's turning the thing. So that times its radians per second of its rotation. And then we also had these external ones that were being placed onto the coupler and on the rocker. And then down below we have the each of the links, mass times acceleration times velocity for each of these. And those have to be, so those are things that show up every time. These others right here, these don't show up a lot because it's kind of hard to have. Well, I would say probably the T4 is probably the more likely thing that you would have in a typical situation, because you could have some type of load on the output of the 4-bar. Like you could be driving something or whatever. It could also be like some resistance to motion. So I guess you could possibly have like on the bearing on the output could have some type of friction or something. I don't know. And then over here as well. So you're going to have each of these as well, because and except for some of our examples that I'm doing, we're doing a constant speed input, so it doesn't have an alpha 2, but you'll always have an alpha 3 and an alpha 4 and an omega 3 and omega 4. So those are ones that we have to look out for. And I guess this down below is just assigning some of the variable names, putting them back up into this equation up above. So let's see it in action. This is example 11.4, and he's calling it by the method of virtual work. I'm not going to go ahead and argue with him about that nomenclature. Virtual work's a little bit different because we're really doing it by a power analysis, or even just an energy balance, you could kind of say, with what we just did. Calling that virtual work isn't usually. Virtual work involves some partial differentiation and some imaginary displacement that's not really there. And but anyway, this is all the information that we had. This is from example 11.3, right? So this is just an alternative method to find the same thing in example 11.3. So we don't necessarily need to go through each of the parameters like I did in ad nauseum in the previous video when we were doing or previous class and videos where we were doing example 11.3. But it is the weird looking 4-bar. I don't know if it's weird. And then here's the solution. So you could see this is right out of the textbook, but you could just see that the values being input into here. Notably, he didn't use his blob. I will mention this one blob right here. He uses like 0.004. That 1.5 divided by 386 is not. I don't think it's even close. Let's see. Yeah, I guess it's 0.003886. Yeah, I guess it's close. He decides it's close enough, but here he tried to get a little bit closer. But anyway, when he's done, he gets the 243.2, which is the same thing that he got in example 3 right here. So boom, that's the important part of it. But the implementation. So this is an alternative method to finding the torque. It's nice. You can't get the reaction forces out of it. That's one of the downsides. Energy methods usually are often employed when it's a complicated geometric situation, and you can kind of bypass a lot of the ugly geometry and get to the heart of the thing that you want to find. But you sacrifice losing. You sacrifice some amount of information. It kind of goes away, especially directions. You lose directions, but at least you don't have to mess around with them. All right, so here is my MATLAB code of it, and it's kind of better I think, to have the animation, so I need to fix this before class. But anyway, we get link 2, link 3, and link 4, all that information. And I did place it in there. I guess I did put it in with his 0.004 estimation. I guess I was just trying to go along to get along. But there's the external forces also over here. Well, external force FP right there, and the torque on 4. It's just matching example 3, so it doesn't need the other forces. Like there's in problem like 5A that I also did in a previous video. That one has those other torque, and that other torque on T3, and has the force also on 4, right? But it didn't in this case. All right, so we do a little bit. We've used Newton-Raphson to get the position analysis. Here's all of these position vectors right here. We get the velocity analysis. And one thing I didn't do in the other codes is I didn't do a velocity. I got the omegas, but I didn't get the specific velocities. So I get the velocity at A. I don't actually need the velocity at B. And then I get the velocity. The important ones is the velocity of G. And I'm only getting the magnitude here in this because it's gonna. I think I just wanted to be able to compare that if I needed to what's in the book. So here's the other velocities, the all-important one at G. And also we need the velocity at the locations of the where that external force, because remember you need a force times velocity. So you need those components. And then, of course, we need it at link 4. And then I do the acceleration analysis like we did before. So we get the alpha 3 and the alpha 4. Get the acceleration at A, but I don't need the acceleration at B. I don't know why I get it. But here's the important part, is we get the accelerations at 2, 3, and 4, the center of gravities. And then here is all you need. Once you get down to there, that's all you need to do, is to hit here. And if you run the code, let's see, we'll run the code. You end up getting 243.23. It's pretty satisfying to get that. So let's see, what did I call this example? And I've uploaded that so that you can get it. Boom. There you go. 243.23. Easy enough. I also uploaded onto Canvas. If you're an external person watching this video, no, I will not send you the file, but I have just walked through it. So if you pause, you could probably write out my code. But I don't give away files, right? I just don't want to start that. Anyway, here's the metric version of this I have also placed into here. Went through the hassle, and then double checked it to make sure that when you do the conversion for this output in metric Newton meters, 27.48, that does convert. I double checked, and sure enough, it will match the US version of it. I just figured if you wanted to use this code for something, you would probably not want to stick with blobs. So that's this first example, and I'm at 14 minutes. So I'll start up with another. I think I'll do like 2, maybe 3 examples in the next video. Talk to you soon.